All right, if I can have everybody's attention, we're going to get things rolling here tonight. I would first like to welcome Bob Partika and Titletown Muskies Inc. He's our speaker for this evening, so let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much, Bill. Really appreciate it. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Having a good time? All right. So can you believe the weather we've been having? I'm guessing that the ice should start breaking up on the lakes pretty soon now. That's what I'm thinking. But it's just been, I feel sorry for the ice fishermen this year. Any ice anglers in the audience tonight? Anybody fish ice? There we go. Well, speaking of ice fishing, that reminds me of the story of the ice fishing Bears fan. No Bears fans here tonight, are there? I hope? Good. Well, there once was a Bears fan who had a few too many barley pops one night after another crushing Bears loss to the vaunted Packers. So he decides to go out ice fishing. So he grabs his gear, stumbles out onto the ice, pulls his auger out, and starts drilling a hole. All of a sudden he hears this big booming voice from above that says, "There are no fish under the ice." He jumps up, drops his auger, looks all around, but he doesn't see a soul. Oh well, shrugs it off, picks his auger back up, fires it up, starts drilling a hole again, and he hears the voice one more time. "There are no fish under the ice." He jumps back, drops his auger again, looks all around, nobody. So he starts thinking to himself, okay, now, am I going crazy here? What's going on? Well, he grabs all his gear and decides to move to another spot. Fires up his auger, starts drilling a brand new hole, and he hears this booming voice for the third time. "There are no fish under the ice." Exasperated, he drops all of his gear, looks straight up into the blinding lights above, and says, "Is that you, God?" And the voice responds, "No, I'm the manager of this ice rink." So, leave it to Bears fans, right? But in all seriousness, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to thank Tom for reaching out and for the invite. Got a great turnout here tonight. And believe it or not, I actually received an invite from Tom in February of 2023 to speak at last year's event. Unfortunately, that fell through, and he ended up getting some other obscure fellow to speak. Hold on, Larry McCarthy? McCarran? Something like that? Oh well, c'est la vie, because you guys have got the world's okayest musky fishermen on deck, and we're going to go through some good stuff tonight. So, by the way, I was hoping Larry was going to be here tonight. I was going to ask him to raise his hand, but he might raise the one with the pinky, and we all have to eat later. So a little bit about myself. My name is Bob Partika. I'm a resident of Green Bay. I've been an avid musky angler for over 3 decades. I've been blessed to have been able to fish all over the U.S., Canada, with many successful years on the professional musky tournament trail. I pretty much fish all over the state, but my true passion is chasing giant fish here at my home waters in Green Bay. I've been a member of Muskies Inc. for several decades, and Titletown Muskies Inc. in particular since I moved here in 2005, and have had several roles within the organization over the years, including president and VP. I am not a fishing guy. I'm just a weekend warrior like most guys, but I spend every season sharing my passion and experience with as many others as possible, and especially educating newer anglers on how to put more fish in the boat and be more successful on the water. So I've been a prominent fishing advocate for muskies, educator, historian, and conservationist, working very closely with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, their biologists, their conservation wardens, as well as the university researchers at UW-Stevens Point, trying to help promote and improve the musky fishing that we've got here in Green Bay. So tonight I'll provide a little glimpse into what makes Green Bay such a special body of water, and also give you guys some insight as to some of the great things that are happening right now that Muskies Inc., our Titletown chapter, is doing to promote musky fishing on Green Bay and preserve our world-class fishery for generations to come. So what's on deck for tonight? First, we'll give you a little bit of background on who Muskies Inc. is as a national organization. Then we'll be talking about the muskie itself, the fish, and give people a little bit of insight into what makes it so unique. After that, we'll talk about the history of Green Bay muskies, where we've come from. It truly is a success story in the making, considering how bleak the future looked just 35 years ago. And I'll get into that in a little more detail later. We'll then talk about muskie management and habitat restoration, where we're at today, where we're going. And then we'll wrap things up, taking a closer look at my local chapter, some of the great things that we're doing to get more folks involved in the sport and ensure that there's a healthy future for this awesome fish. Just a few quick words about Muskies Inc. It is North America's largest muskie fishing advocacy group. We've got 51 chapters across the U.S. in nearly 20 states. And there are 3 primary areas of focus that we have as an organization: fisheries, research, and youth. And I'll touch upon each of these in a little more detail as we go on. Now, the muskie itself. Can I get a show of hands here of anybody who's ever caught a muskie in their life? Anybody? Wow. Very impressive. Very impressive. Now, keep your hands up if you've caught one on purpose. Intentionally. Okay. That gives me a little comfort because now I know I'm not the only knucklehead in the audience. Okay. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the muskellunge or muskie, it is the bigger and meaner cousin of the northern pike. A replica mount that I brought here is an example of a trophy tiger muskie, which is a rare cross between a muskellunge and a northern pike. And anyone is welcome to come on up afterwards, take their picture with it. That's what it's here for. Come on up, we'll show you how to properly hold it, and you guys can get some good pictures. So that's why I brought it. But legend has it that muskies can grow up to be up to over 5 feet in length and nearly 70 pounds. It has been Wisconsin state fish since 1955, and it's also known as the fish of 10,000 casts because it is hands down one of the most difficult fish to catch in North America. And that's because the muskie is an apex predator in any body of water that it swims in. It is at the absolute top of the food chain. So it eats what it wants, when it wants, and only if it wants, which makes chasing them, targeting them while angling quite challenging sometimes. We cast for hours and hours, sometimes days, just to get a glimpse of these creatures. And for some people, just seeing a fish, not even catching one, is considered a good day on the water. So when I say that muskie guys have a little bit of a screw loose, you know what I'm talking about. Muskies are very unique in that they are supremely curious fish. I've got a video here that I'll show to explain that in a little bit. They're notorious for following lures in towards the boat without actually striking. They'll follow and follow and follow as you're reeling in, which is why every good muskie angler, at the end of every cast, they perform a maneuver known as the figure 8, whereas they take their rod tip as they're reeling in and do a little figure 8 and try to get that muskie to chase it. So, like I said, I've got a little bit of a video here that I'll show. What I want you to do is watch the timer at the lower portion of the screen and watch how long this muskie chases the bait.
Where'd he go?
I think, oh, there it is. It's still there. It's still there.
Oh, he's still there, Pete. He's still there, Pete. He's still there, Pete. Oh, he's going. He just went down. Oh, now he's back there. There he is. Get a kick out of this.
He's gonna get out there. He's still
Oh, yeah, he's still there. Oh, come on, hit it. Oh, he goes down with it, Pete. He's still there. Oh, there he goes. I thought he was going to get it on that turn.
crazy. He's got it. He's got it. He's got it.
Oh, man. Oh, he speeds up on the turn every time. Yes! 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 Oh my gosh! That was so cool, Pete! He just ate it when he said it.
Like I mentioned, there's a fish behind this bait the whole time. Muskies absolutely live for the chase. So we perform these both side maneuvers to try and trigger them into eating our lures. No other fish in North America does this, which is why it's It's exactly what drives us muskie anglers insane. And with that said, I just want to make it publicly known to all the spouses of muskie anglers, you have no idea what a patient person you married. Feel blessed. With that said, just a quick word of caution, however, is that muskies are one species of fish that you do not want to mess with. As you can see from the chompers on this replica mount that I brought, if you're not careful, they can tear you up pretty good. They need to be treated with great care and respect. Yes, that is my bloody hand in the picture here. Granted, it's not as cool as Larry's pinky, but I'm working on it. More importantly, this battle scar is a sign of a safe release, which means that we do not keep our fish. We release them. We practice what's known as catch and release. We return every fish to the water to swim another day, and perhaps even be caught by some other lucky angler in the future. And that's what helps keep our world-class muskie fishery going. Next up is a quick video of a news piece from 2022 that covers the history and reintroduction and management of the species in Green Bay. They do a fantastic job at summarizing what's going on, and you can actually see the process that the DNR goes through every spring out here on the Fox River.
Wisconsin's state fish is thriving in the Bay of Green Bay and its tributaries.
DNR biologists just completed their annual muskie survey and egg collection on the Fox River. New at 4, a look at some of the monster fish in the world-class fishery. At the Fox Point boat launch into Pier, it's a spectacle that lures anglers and leaves them in awe. Massive muskies up to 58 inches long in a holding tank on a DNR boat.
I'd say we have a top 3 fishery on the planet right now as far as muskies is concerned. I personally think it's number 1, but we've got some of the biggest fish on the planet right here in our own backyard.
Quite the contrast from just 3 decades ago, when muskie clubs and the DNR partnered to reintroduce Great Lakes spotted muskies in the Bay of Green Bay.
Green Bay system, the watershed itself, was absolutely decimated in the 20th century as far as muskies are concerned. They are native to this area. Unfortunately, due to pollution, overharvesting, things like that, these fish were almost entirely gone.
While natural reproduction remains extremely low, the thousands and thousands of young muskies released each year are growing at a rapid rate. The reason? Their diet.
Primarily the forage itself. There's so much food out there for them to eat, especially in the bay, but also in the rivers and other tributaries, Sturgeon Bay, up in Door County.
Once removed from fight nets and brought to shore, the muskies are measured, weighed, and tagged. Then, before release, biologists collect eggs to fertilize and transport to a hatchery.
The fish will get stocked out this fall. The majority of the fish, they'll go from the egg stage that you saw today, so they're pretty small today, and they'll be about an 11-inch fish by fall.
And ready to join a population of muskies that in recent years has attracted fishermen from around the country.
We're very hopeful that we've got the next world record swimming around in our backyard.
And open season for muskie fishing begins Memorial Day weekend. It runs through the end of the year or until ice ruins it and, freezes everything over. But a lot of anglers, probably after seeing that video, was like, let's grab my rod and reel, I'm ready.
That's just what I was thinking. The big ones out there somewhere, they're all after it.
They are.
So in the news clip, we just saw biologists conducting their annual survey. This is just some data, an example of what the results were from 2019. Don't worry too much about the data in the graph. I know it's tough to see. It's just a summary of the numbers that we collected and some details on specific fish. But as reference, I want to point to the replica mount that I brought here, which is 45 inches long, and that is a big fish. Of the 25 muskies that the DNR captured and surveyed in 2019, the average fish was bigger than that. It was 47 inches and weighed 31 pounds. Now those are big fish anywhere you go. The most impressive, however, was the big fish of the day. The biggest fish came in at a whopping 57 inches and over 52 pounds. To put things in perspective, a 50-incher is considered the benchmark for a trophy muskie anywhere. The fish of a lifetime. And many anglers never even catch one in their entire lives. But Green Bay is a muskie factory for big fish. These numbers, yes, they're impressive. However, we're not quite where we need to be just yet, which is why I always say that it is a success story in the making. And I'll explain further in just a moment. As we saw, muskies were almost completely wiped out of the Green Bay system in the early 20th century, and a restoration project was started in 1989 by the Wisconsin DNR when the state decided to reintroduce muskies into the Green Bay system through stocking. However, we needed fish from somewhere. So what we did is we partnered with Michigan and Ontario in order to receive what we call broodstock fish. Those fish were taken from those areas, transplanted into Green Bay with the hopes that they would one day spawn and produce more muskies in Green Bay. Unfortunately, things aren't quite that simple. We've faced a lot of challenges over the years, which I'll get into in a little bit here. From day one, Muskies Inc. in Green Bay here has been at the forefront of these efforts. The sole purpose of muskie management on Green Bay here is to eventually develop a self-sustaining population of muskies in Green Bay, which we currently do not have. A lot of people think we just got muskies breeding all over the place. Unfortunately, we don't, because according to fisheries biologists, natural reproduction for muskies on the bay is statistically 0. Which means that nearly every fish that we've got swimming around out here is a stocked fish. Not all of them, but the vast majority. We just don't have enough data on natural reproduction to make any conclusions. These fish still spawn, they swim up the rivers every spring, go through their motions, just like they're genetically programmed to do. The females drop their eggs, the males fertilize them, but according to biologists, they have seen no appreciable evidence of muskies, of baby muskies being born, of live muskies. And this is primarily due to a lack of suitable habitat on the bay. And this stuff was all destroyed due to manufacturing, pollution, what have you, over the years, and we'll see that in the next slide. But I just want to first point out a couple of key items here. In 2017 and 2018, University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point graduate researchers captured 60 muskies and inserted radio transmitters in each of them. So what the biologists do is they track their movements all year long, but especially during the spring, every spawn. And they go into these areas to collect samples where the fertilized eggs are actually hatching into young muskies. And when they do find live young, what they'll do is they'll take samples of the substrate, water clarity, pH, slope, you name it, and then they'll try to identify other similar areas throughout the bay in order to improve their stocking efforts throughout the watershed. And then lastly, Titletown Muskies Inc. recently helped fund the increased output of the wild rose hatchery by helping fund some additional tanks for them to raise up more muskies and put them in the bay. I spoke earlier about the tragic conditions that led to their near extermination of muskies in Green Bay. However, a lot has been taking place over the past decade plus, which gives us a little light at the end of the tunnel here to reverse the tide and give these fish an opportunity to reproduce naturally. The first phase was the Fox River dredging project, which started in 2004 and concluded in 2020. They essentially dredged the bottom and processed the silt to remove the harmful chemicals, primarily PCBs, from the sediment. After that, they actually started putting in some woody structure, some exposed fish cribs, which are used not just by muskies, but also lots of other different types of species. And then one other thing that we've been seeing in the past couple of years here is the reemergence of weeds on the Fox River, specifically here in Green Bay, which is very encouraging and shows us that the river is actually coming back to life. Now the next phase is being undertaken by the DNR. What they do is they've got multiple ongoing projects to actually create more structure out there, build more islands, help out in the deltas of some areas like Duck Creek, and then also plant more vegetation there to draw in more wildlife, not just fish, but more wildlife and what have you. But this is also going to help not just muskies, but every fish throughout the entire ecosystem. So to wrap up the restoration efforts, we are very pleased with the progress we've made so far, and the future right now, I'm happy to say, looks very bright for muskies on the bay. So to close things out, what I want to do is just tell you guys a little bit about what we do as an organization, Titletown Muskies Inc., my chapter here. Again, I mentioned we do stocking and research, obviously, but we also have youth programs. We have a youth outing every fall. It's very, very popular. We're big on education, and we also have multiple member outings throughout the year for men, women, and kids. And then we also have an annual vet outing in partnership with an organization called Take 'em Outdoors, which provides opportunities for fishing and hunting for combat wounded veterans. So we're absolutely very proud to be part of that. We also have a weekly league that runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day. We got a new winner every week. And we have a very robust member recognition program also, whereby we give out awards and things for various categories, but the big one is whoever catches, safely releases, and registers the biggest fish of the year gets a free mount, courtesy of Titletown Muskies Inc. They get to hang that on the wall. We also do something called member roundtables, which is a little unique. A lot of other fishing clubs I've been a member of, usually people are pretty tight-lipped. After all the business of the day is taken care of at our meetings, we basically sit around and say, okay, who's fishing, who's catching fish, and what's working out there? So we're actually encouraging folks to help their fellow anglers out to be more successful on the water. We also bring in very high-impact speakers. A lot of the folks you see in the magazines, on TV, we bring those folks in, come in and talk to our folks, and tell them how to catch more muskies. We also do some fundraising. We have our annual banquet, which is our biggest fundraiser of the year. That just took place 2 weeks ago. Proceeds from that go towards stocking and research efforts as well. And we also wrap off a boat every year, and we are very active in the Muskie Expo world as well. In particular, the Wisconsin Muskie Expo in Wausau, where we've got a booth called Release 'em Right, whereby we've got a huge display of everything from tools to nets to you name it, showing people how to safely handle these fish and return them into water to swim again another day. And we're also very active on social media, which you'll see on this slide here. But this is basically an open invitation for anybody to come check us out. See what we've got going on. Our meetings are held monthly. They're free and open to the public. Second Wednesday of every month at the Green Bay Yacht Club, which is right at the mouth of the Fox River, right by Smokies on the Bay, if anybody knows where that's at. Also, you can find us on Facebook at Titletown Muskies Inc. Chapter 4. Just click on events and you'll see everything we've got going on. We've got a jam-packed calendar every year, stuff going on all the time. We'd love you guys to come and join in on the fun. We also started a YouTube channel a couple years ago. We got about 15, 20 videos up there with some great information. A lot of the speakers that come into our meetings, we'll put those up on our YouTube channel where others can get some information on how to catch more fish. But not just that, we've also got a lot of great information regarding biologists and researchers on what goes on behind the scenes to make sure that we've still got this robust fishery that we all enjoy. And then finally, if anybody's interested in joining Muskies Inc., just hop on over to muskiesinc.org, click on Join Now, and you can choose Chapter 4, Titletown Muskies Inc. from the drop-down menu. And we'd love to have you as a member. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, feel free to reach out. I'm always more than happy to get folks pointed in the right direction and hook them into some monster muskies. Facebook Messenger and email are probably the best ways to get a hold of me. And I also got a small YouTube channel, which is just my name. I got about 200 videos up there. If you want to check it out, go ahead. Nothing too special. But that said, I just want to thank you all again for your hospitality this evening and the opportunity to provide a little bit of insight into the great things that Titletown Muskies Inc. is doing for this fishery to make sure that it remains world-class going forward. So if anybody has any questions or wants a picture with a trophy tiger muskie, that's why I brought it. I'll be hanging around after the meal, so stop on up. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great event.
Thank you, Todd. All right, before we get dinner going here, real quick, we're going to go ahead and announce the first 50-50 raffle.